Okay, so let's get started by creating a new project. So first of all, you should have Unreal Engine installed on your device. So in case if you don't know how to get Unreal Engine, first you should have Epic Game Launcher, and there you can go to the Unreal Engine's library section. Then you can install whatever the Unreal Engine version that you want. But I would highly recommend to use any Unreal Engine version that is later after 5.3 because I'm going to share one of the starter content project of Locomotion system as well later on, which we are going to use some assets that we need to use in this project. So that specific content was on 5.3 engine version. Therefore, in order to properly use all of those stuff, make sure you are using your project with beyond 5.3. Other than that, those assets may not work properly, right? Anyway, I'm going to use the latest version that Unreal Engine has been released, which is 5.6.1 in my case, right? But based on the time that you are watching this tutorial, maybe there is a new version, but that would be totally fine. You can use whatever the version that is beyond 5.3, right? Okay, so I'm going to use 5.6. So I'll launch the engine. Okay, so once you launch the engine, you can go to the games section, and there you can choose a blank project because we are going to create our locomotion system from scratch. So make sure you are using blank project, and you can give whatever the project name that you want. So in my case, I will give it as locomotion system, and I'm going to use a desktop and the quality preset as maximum and a blueprint project. So as the project location, I'm going to select one of my workspaces. So I'm going to select Udemy UE locomotion system, and there I will create this project. But this path doesn't matter. You can create whatever the location that you guys prefer. Okay, and then let's create the project. So it will take some time. It needs to compile some shaders and load some default stuff. So once it's done, this is our project, right? So as you can see, it starts with this default map, and I can dismiss these plugins. Also, you can see at the content folder there is nothing because I created just a blank project, but it would be totally fine. And here at the plugins section, so you can go to the edit and plugins. So we can see set of default plugins that has been enabled by default, which is totally fine. But usually when I'm creating a new project, I always make sure that these two plugins are disabled. So first one is like modeling tools editor mode. So this is sort of like a beta mode plugin, which we don't require. So I'm going to disable this thing. Also, usually I disable this one as well, open image denoise. So this is sort of like a DLL heavy library, but in our scenario, we won't need this. Otherwise, our project will be much more heavier in project size. So I don't need to use this plugin. So make sure disable this plugin as well, right? Okay, then I'm going to restart it. So until this one is getting restarted, I want to share another project with you, which is this one. So it's called LS Essentials. So this is the starter content project that we are going to use, which basically contain all the required essential assets for our locomotion system, right? So consider this as a starter content project. So you can go to this URL and download the project as a zip, or you can clone the project to your drive as well, right? So once you download that project to your computer, it will look like this. So let me share it. So it is named as ls essentials, and inside the content folder we have all the required essential assets. So for example, like we have these sort of accessories which we are going to use later on, and we have some character mannequin related animations and rigs and other related meshes. Also we have some Lyra starter content related assets, such as some grid materials and stuff like that. So this stuff will be useful for our level prototyping and other stuff. And some placeholder materials for our weapons, and some meshes to showcase the base weapon classes, right? So this is our starter content pack for the Locomotion system. And I'll open the Locomotion system project again. So you can see it has been restarted, and currently nothing is there at the content folder, right? So first, let's migrate our start content to this specific project so that we can start working on our Locomotion system. Right, so migrating from one project to another project is quite easy. All you have to do is right click on it and click migrate, and make sure everything is selected and simply click OK, right? But here also, before migrating this, I need to mention one thing. So currently ls essential project is in 5.3 version, right? So make sure, as I said before, to create a Locomotion system, in order to use these assets, make sure your new project is later than this specific version, or at least this specific version, right? Otherwise, if you go beyond, if we go earlier version, like let's say 5.0 or something like that, then sometimes these contents may not work properly, right? So in order to avoid such inconsistencies, make sure you go with the latest version, right? Okay, so I'm going to migrate it, click OK, and I'll select my Locomotion system project. So this is the new project that I've been just created, and inside the content folder I'm going to select the folder to be migrated, right? So make sure it is your project content folder, right? Don't select any other folder or any other root directory that has been in here, because it should be the exact same like this, right? It should be in the content folder. Okay, so I'm going to select folder. Now you can see set of packages are migrating, so it will take some time. Okay, now the assets has been migrated. So let's go to our Locomotion system project and see whether the stuffs are there. Yeah, so here you can see at the content folder we have this ls essentials starter content here, right? So you can go check it out, all those assets. So we have everything there. Okay, right. And then in order to get start with our Locomotion system, first we need to create a root directory for our specific system. So I'm gonna name it as Locomotion system, right? So if I give some brief intro about the folder structure, usually Unreal Engine recommends to keep everything in a single folder at the content folder, but I'm going to have two different folders right now because time to time this specific ls essential folder may updated because maybe I need to add some new animations or new assets to our ls essential project. So in that scenario, if I need to update that specific ls essentials folder, I can simply migrate it back to the content folder of the Locomotion system without any issues. because everything is inside the content folder, right? But once everything was finalized, I will move this into the Locomotion system folder itself, right? But at the development phase, let's keep everything like this. Okay, so in your case also, I would highly recommend to follow this fashion, so it will be easy for us, right? Okay, so this should be the starter content folder, and this would be our Locomotion system. So inside this folder, I need a set of blueprints. Also, I'm gonna create some labels, so I will name this as maps. And inside the maps folder, I'm gonna create some showcase map for now. Therefore, I will create a folder called showcase, and let's create a new level, right? So you can use this default open world level as well, but at the development phase, I think we may need much more simpler version, so we can quickly test certain things out, right? Therefore, I'm going to create a new level, and I'm going to use a basic one, and I'll create. Okay, so once it has been created, let's save this current level inside our Locomotion system, maps, and showcase folder. So I'm gonna rename it as map underscore showcase, right? So this is the Unreal Engine recommended way of renaming levels, so I'm going to follow that fashion, right? So you can use whatever the suffix or prefix that you want, but make sure it has some sort of a standard consistency. Okay, so I can go check out the showcase folder. Now you can see our level is there. Now inside the blueprints, I need set of game based specific classes. So therefore I will create a new folder called game base, and there I will create a set of assets. Yeah, so first we need a game mode. So I'm gonna select blueprint class, and there you can see I have game mode base, and I'll rename this as bp underscore Locomotion system underscore gm. So again, this is sort of like a standard naming convention. So BP stand for blueprint, Locomotion system stand for whatever the root project name that we have, and GM stand for game mode, right? Okay, and we need another blueprint class, which is to handle our player control related activities, because we are going to implement a player character later on. So in order to control its pawn behaviors, we need this player control. So I'm gonna create a player control instance, and I'll rename it as bp underscore Locomotion system PC, right? And finally, I need a HUD class. So HUD is stand for heads up display, which is sort of like the parent user interface that is going to visualize for the player character, right? So later on, actually, we are going to implement maybe like health bars or certain level of statistics or some debug menus inside our user interface just to visualize certain things out. Therefore, in order to handle those stuff, we need a dedicated HUD class. So by default, actually, you can't see that HUD instance inside the command category. But if you go to the all classes and search for HUD, you can see we have these instances. So I'm going to use this parent HUD class and select it. Then I can rename it as bp underscore Locomotion system HUD. Okay, so I think these are the main game based classes that we require. And you can open up this game mode, and here you can see inside the classes there are set of instances that we can configure, right? So since we have a player controller class, dedicated player controller class, instead of using this default player controller, let's use BP Locomotion System PC as our player controller class. And also as the HUD class, let's use BP Locomotion System HUD, right? So likewise, later on, if you require, you can create these specific instances as well and override whatever the stuff at here, right? But for now, I think player controller and HUD would be enough, right? So let's compile and save. And finally, we can go to the project settings, and there go to the maps and modes, and we can initialize this stuff, right? So these are like default project settings that that is going to use throughout the entire project. For example, like if you open up your project at the very first time, this is the first map that is going to open, or this is the default game mode that is going to invoke, things like that, right? So these are sort of like a default settings. So since we created a new game mode, instead of using this one, let's assign BP Locomotion System GM as our default game mode. Also, as the editor starter map, I don't need to use this open world default map. Instead, let's use our showcase map, which has been created by us just now. Also, game default map, I'll use the same thing, map showcase. Okay, file, save all. Right, so this is the basic setup that we need to start working on our locomotion system. And if you play it now, it won't do anything. It's just a spectator camera that is being appeared on your level. But later on, let's see how we can add sort of like a character to here, and let's see how we can move that character at the level instead of using this spectator camera.